So now we get to see whether it'll fit the template that I'm going to use for the body shape that I want. And yeah, I'll have to add little ears to the side there where the lower bout goes, but it will work just fine. And so now we go into glue up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these by halves. In other words, I'll glue one half of the body blank together, and then another half, the other half of the body blank together. And then once that dries, then I will join those two together. One of the things that's important to remember is that there's a lot that you don't see. One of the reasons you don't see it is because it takes too much time. The video would be an hour long, which I don't have a problem with, but if I want viewers, then I need to understand, and you need to understand, that people's attention span isn't worth a flip anymore. And nobody will watch a video that's any longer than about 10 minutes or so. As a matter of fact, most of the views that I have, somebody watched it for like 3 minutes at a time. Okay. So when you see videos on the internet, on YouTube, and they're showing you how to make something, you need to understand that there's a lot that they edited out because it would have made the video too long. So they just put what they thought was pertinent to the video, to what they were doing. It's basically like, look, I'm going to show you how I did this, but they don't show everything because they don't have the time to do it. And it's not their fault. People just won't watch. Now, I know I do some longer videos, and yes, I want people to watch my videos, but I'm not trying to build a big, huge YouTube channel. I'm not looking for 10,000 or 1,000 or 50,000 or whatever subscribers. I'm not trying to build a business nor anything like that. I'm just posting things that I enjoy doing and hoping that other people will come along and see it. And I'll get people that are genuinely interested in what I'm doing, and they'll look a little longer. Or I'll be able to help people do things by them watching my videos. But you have to understand, you have to pay attention and recognize that not everything is going to be in the video. Case in point, here you see all these pieces that I'm joining together, and eventually I'll join these two halves into a whole. Okay? Well, you saw in the other video, I cut these off with a table saw, correct? I promise you right now, they did not come straight from the table saw and get joined together. They had to be flattened a bit better. They had to be made sure that they're level and they're square and they're smooth, and that they made up with each other well enough that there's not any gap. And that didn't come that way off the table saw. It required other refinement that I did not put in this video because it would have been too long. So, and that's the caution that I'm trying to set forth, is that you understand that, if you look at a YouTube video, oh, that's easy, I can do that. If you go to do it and it doesn't work, there's steps that you didn't see in that video. So it pays to think things through and take your time before you even start on something. Look at it at every angle that you possibly can. Because if you use a logical mind and pay attention to what you're doing, then videos on YouTube can be helpful. I have learned a lot from YouTube's on video, or videos on YouTube. Now we glued up that first side, and now we're going to glue up the second half of the body blank. And I try to put them in clamps like this to minimize slipping, so that you don't get like little stair steps, but everything, at least on one side, glues up flush. I'll still have to level and stuff like that and thickness this, because the big pieces of ash are thicker than the strips of maple and walnut or pecan that I'm using. But you don't want it to be unlevel on both sides, because then you'll have to take away way too much material. I may end up, an electric guitar body is generally about 1 3/4 inches thick. That's kind of a standard. Some of them are a little bit thinner and some of them are a little bit thicker. What I'm shooting for is like 1 10/16, because I know I probably won't get, after I thickness and flatten and level everything, I know that I probably won't get 1 3/4 or 1 12/16. So if I can get 1 10/16, that'll be good. 1 1/2 is too thin. If I end up at 1 1/2, then I'll have to figure out how to find a piece of wood that I can make a top out of to cap the top of this and bring it up to proper thickness. Hopefully that won't happen, because I don't have the money to buy one and I don't have anything local. It took 2 years to save all this wood up. So we will see. There might be a pause once I get the body blank cut out, or the body shape rather cut out of this blank, simply because the thing was too thin. I could cap it with pine, which is fine, but it's a softwood. I could cap it with cedar. It's a softwood, and those things I can get from my local Lowe's or Home Depot. But I really don't want to cap it with that. I could cap it with oak, but oak is furniture stuff, and it would be awful heavy. So we will see. But now it's just a matter, like I did before, of clamping everything good so that I get good squeeze out all along the joint lines. And you see I'm going back and forth to the different clamps and tightening them down a little bit more, just trying to make it, get it as tight as I can, clamped as well as I can, because that's kind of the deal, you know. You're joining a lot of pieces of wood together to make this blank. You want it clamped good and tight. And don't worry about it. You're not going to, people say, well, you'll starve the joint if you clamp. No, you won't. It's all right. You know, if you get some squeeze out, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. And so now here, the body blanks, the two sides of the body blank have come out of clamps. And I'm going to join both of them together. And like I said, there was a lot of prep on the two edges that are joining together. I used a plane. I also used a sanding beam to make absolutely certain they were as flat and square so that the blank is straight and it's not all crooked or look like a snake. You know, if you look at it from the end, all wavy and all. So there's a lot that you have to do, but that's common sense. And one of the things, if you're going to build things, common sense is your friend, okay? You got to stop and think about things. Have a plan. Because a lot of times on YouTube, they make it look simple, but it's not as simple as it looks. This is not rocket science, but it's not as simple as it might look. You have to make sure, cross all the T's, dot all the I's, do whatever you need to do to think it through. And you see I've got my hand in the center. I'm pushing that down because I'm trying to make sure that the backside that's laid up against these clamps is sitting as flush as possible. Both of the sides, the back side of these sides, or these pieces rather, I can't really talk today, but both halves of this blank, what I'm trying to do is make sure that they're sitting as flush as possible at the back. This top part I'll have to level, and the back I'll have to level a bit. But once again, I want it as close as possible so that I don't have to take off any more wood than I absolutely have to. And clamping the ends too, you want the joint tight all the way across. In the center, on the ends, everywhere, as much as you can. So don't be afraid to crank down on the clamps. And now I'll just clean as much of the glue squeeze out as I can get while it's still kind of wet. And it's just a wet cloth. Actually, this is a cloth that I pretty much leave outside and leave on the bench. And it's wet from rainwater, but it's wet. It'll be alright. Now I'm going to flip it over and clean the other side. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. Even if you only watch 2 or 3 minutes, I thank you. And we're going to let that cure up. And then we'll talk about maybe leveling it or maybe cutting out the body blank, the body shape. Bless you. Later.